Hey guys, this is TheEnder with Game 2 from Set A, I guess. I don't want to call it Group A since it's only going to be one match. But it's Snow versus Killer from the round of 8 of the BCTV Star League Season 1. So, alright. Before I forget, big thanks to Maelstrom for uploading these videos to YouTube. And surprisingly fast turnaround time. I literally think they were played yesterday, and he's already got them up. So thank you very much. So alright, what are we seeing so far? In the bottom right position, as the red Zerg, we have Killer, the almost undisputed best Zerg player in the Brood War scene right now. And in the northern right position, we have Snow, who supposedly is not good versus Zerg, but last game he brought off a really great build order, and he took Killer to school. It was a bit of a rush. It looked like the rush failed, but instead it was followed up with pretty fast tech, and it all happened with the Reaver harass. It was magic. But all right, let's see what Killer decides to do. So, of course, there is a little bit of history here. Killer being the protege of Jaedong, back when they were both on Team 8, and before that when they were on Team Oz, or Hwasong Oz, or Lake Half Oz, or whatever you want to call them. But, so yeah, there was a really nice clip, maybe a little bit of foreshadowing from the previous game between Jaedong and Snow. And I remember this game from a long time ago, and I was really sad when I watched it. But essentially, Jaedong went to do a Hydra bust against Snow, but Snow was prepared with getting the Robo out as natural, and he got his Reavers. And what it came down to, and the pylon blocks the hatchery. But yeah, so Jaedong went for the Hydra bust, but Snow got out like a single Reaver, and then there's this huge micro battle between the Hydralists and the Reaver cannon, and the Reaver literally got like 33 kills before dying, and it was just nuts. Because it was just nuts. That's the only way to describe it. It's like Jaedong's got so many units, but he couldn't kill the Reaver. The Zealots are buffer, and in the meantime the cannons are firing, and the moment the Hydras go in to take a shot, the Reaver fires a shot, and the splash damage kills 3 or 4 Hydras, and it's like, oh my god, so painful. Then finally, the moral victory that the Reaver goes down, and then like instantaneously a second Reaver pops out since the first Reaver got so many kills. But yeah. Okay, so this game, I believe it was an overpool from Killer. The hatchery at his natural was blocked temporarily by a pylon, so he sends a drone to the common third base that you would take. There's another probe already there blocking, but with Lings out it was forced to retreat. So the pylon at the natural was cancelled, and believe it or not, the hatchery went there anyway, rather than taking the third one first. So Killer might be slightly annoyed that he had to wait so long to put down his hatchery, and that he lost the last game. But it looks like this is going to play out as more of a standard game. Because of the 6 Lings that were made in the initial part, Snow went for a double cannon at his natural, and it's not a bad idea. It's safer. Yes, it delays your tech, it delays your expansion slightly, but just compared to the safety, the peace of mind, the fact that you don't have to pull drones or probes to block, it's not bad at all, especially when you're slightly ahead after blocking hatcheries. But alright, so Snow's natural is completed. Corin's on the way. I expect to see a Stargate in the top right of Snow's base as soon as that core finishes. And on the other side, we're just seeing a pretty standard game from Killer. He's probably going to get a Spire down, get out the Scourge. And hopefully this time he won't lose the Spire to 2 random Zealots while there's currently Hydras and Lings already in his main base just watching those Zealots. Yep, alright, so there's the Stargate. It's in a slightly hard place to scout, and Yeah, I mean, it's in the corner. That's kind of silly how hard it'd be to scout. And we see Zergling speed on the way. Double Stargate? What? Oh, that's... Alright. So I figured, well, that was, just where the pylon was. That seems like a natural place you'd put your Stargate, and it just so happens to be hidden. But, no, that was actually a... We have one hidden Stargate in addition to the regular one. So where you say, oh, it's not a big deal, it's, just a second Stargate. Well, I mean, he's only got one gateway. I mean, that's... 2 Stargates at this point in the game is a very serious commitment to getting air, or should I say anti-air, since you're not going to be getting scouts in this matchup. But, so yeah, it looks like it could be another Corsair Reaver game, or it could just be he's going for some kind of a fast, mass Corsair into, I'm trying to tempt you into going mutas, and then, the Corsairs come out and the mutas just evaporate. Alright, +1 ground weapons on the way. That's pretty standard. Usually you would see a Citadel going down pretty soon to complement the Zealots and the +1 weapons, but probably not, since all the gas is going to be going into the double Corsair production. So, alright, let's talk about keys to victory. That sounds like an important thing to think about. So there is there it is. There's a Citadel. I'm surprised there's no +1 being researched. With the amount of Corsairs you're going to be getting early in the game, I mean, +1 would be a really nice investment. Oh, and it gets scouted. Oh, come on. So I'm not sure what's going to happen now. So Killer, he has the information he needs. He knows that Snow is going for some heavy Corsair production. Commonly, this means, once again, Corsair Reaver. And he knows that he didn't do so well against the Corsair Reaver last time. But, why is there no +1? He's definitely going for mass Corsairs. I mean, he's got 6 Corsairs now. I don't know what's going on. But alright, so we have no Robo. We have a lot of Corsairs, but then +1 Zealots. And the Gateway Explosion is going to be coming pretty soon. And of course the Gateway Explosion is just a generic term for when the Protoss goes from something like a single gateway at their main their front, so that nothing can run to their main, into all of a sudden 5 or 6 gateways. Alright, so we do have one Corsair going down to the Scourge. A lot of the other Corsairs took a lot of damage from the Spore Colony. Some Overlords did go down, and Overlord speed is on the way. So yeah, let's see. Zealot legs, that's standard. +1, just about to complete, very standard. Gateways going down, that's standard. So I'm really not sure what's up with this double Stargate Corsair production. Yeah. So I mean, Corsairs, I want to say they do like 3 purposes essentially. Whoa! And we have a Zealot run by, a Zealot run by into Killer's main, and there's no units. Okay, so there's units, but once again they're hanging out, they're chilling. They don't want to come help. Good drone drill. Oh, nope, undo that. It was a good drone drill for like a second, and then the drones ran away. But alright, so the Zerglings that were just chilling at the natural, they came back in to help. And the Zealots are getting cleaned up, but there was some lost mining time, some lost Hydras, and now it looks like a whole lot of lost Overlords. But yeah, so the point I was trying to make earlier, there's like 3 reasons why you'd be going for a lot of Corsairs. So one is to go for Corsair Reaver, and of course we saw that in Game 1. Second reason would be to go for Corsair DT, because Corsairs, they stop the detection by taking out all of these Overlords. And the third reason is just to go for anti-muta. We've seen double Spore at the natural and a Spore at the third, so it seems like DT would be an unlikely possibility. Because once again, there's that second form of detection and already anti-air, and we haven't seen a Robo, so we assume it's not going to be Reavers. Alright, so there is a DT. It's a bit late. Oh man, these Hydras are taking way too much damage. And the Overlord goes down, so maybe it is DT. Oh, man, come on. He's trying to make me look bad, that's what it is. But, alright, so he's got a hidden base, but it's been scouted. It's totally been scouted. Killer knows where that third base is, and he's just not doing anything about it. There's an Overlord there. He saw the probe. He moved the Overlord to hide it. Did he just forget about it? I mean, he could literally send like 6 lings and do it and just completely take out that base. 6 lings. Or he could send a Hydralisk, and that's not the right choice. I mean, Hydralisks have decent DPS, but I mean, the probes are going to run away, and the Hydralisk won't be able to catch them. That single Hydralisk can fire on the Nexus, but reinforcements can come in. Zealots take the Hydralisk forever. It'd be much more cost-effective to just send, like I said, a small pack of Zerglings, and they'll take out that Nexus. And you see a single DT cleans up the Hydra. Darn. So Snow is going up to 4 bases, and and Killer's trying to get his 4th, but I really don't understand what Killer's doing. Alright, so he's trying to cancel the 3rd. Wow, that cannon has a whole lot of range. Nice snipe on the HT by Killer. And it looks like another pack of units is going to take out this base. Well, it would be if the DT wasn't killing them all. He's got an Overlord in the corner. Okay, he moved it. He moved the Overlord because the Corsairs went to kill the Overlord. That was actually pretty clever. No? It wasn't that. What? There's some clump of units in the top left corner. Maybe it's probes, maybe. I thought it was Corsairs, but we just saw the Corsairs in the middle of the map. Alright. So the 3rd base, that bit of a waste of a storm on that lurker. But yes, alright, so it's back down to 3 base on 3 base, and Killer is setting up his 4th. So this is getting to a slightly more standardized part in the game. But I'm still pretty worried for Killer because his army is just so small. And his unit composition isn't like super great. Usually at this point in time, either there wouldn't be a 3rd base for the Protoss, or there would be a 3rd base, but there'd also be like a lurker contain, really trapping down on Snow's movements, so he can't, he can't just move freely around the map. But yeah, Killer's, I don't know. Well, we got something happening in the natural. Is that might be a drop. I have no idea what it is, but it might be a drop. Storm drop! Oh man, look at all those. Oh, drone massacre. That's at least 10 dead drones there. I think that's more than 10 dead drones. Man, Killer doesn't have much going for him. What? I'm pretty sure that was 2 more hatcheries going down at the 4th base for Killer. 2 more hatcheries. I mean, like I said, he doesn't have much of an army right now. He just lost all his drones, and he's still spending money on getting production up. I don't understand this. So going for mass hatchery would be indicative of thinking about going for like mass ling, which of course lings are super cost effective. All right, and there we go, another drop coming in. Hey, come on, Mr. Observer, let's focus on the drop. I mean, everything else is. I mean, yeah, Zealots versus a lurker field, they're not going to do very well. Who was it? Was that Movie? I want to say in the round of 16, or was it the round of 32? Whatever. In one of those rounds, we saw some really excellent Protoss versus Zerg drop harass. So if you haven't seen those, you should consider going back. I forget. It was one of the Protosses that apparently isn't here anymore because it wasn't Snow. But yeah. Alright, so Killer's fallen into the same thing as last game in that he doesn't have much of an army, and he took some harassment. So he's almost between a rock and a hard place. Actually, if that new group of reinforcements, those Templar group up with that group that was already by... Oh, nice pick-off. I was going to say, if those reinforcements got together with that other group, Killer would have some serious problems. But as it is, he caught it with his reinforcements, and he's going to pick off all the Templar, which is rather nice, since those are, expensive high-tier tech units. But once again, Killer has just like no army. It's such a Yes, technically the Zerg style is to have like no army until you need it, and then all of a sudden just switch into army with your mass production and your massive, you have more economic, you know, units and bases than your opponent. But in this case, I mean, you can see Snow's already got 4 bases, or he's going to have 4 bases in like 10 seconds, and Killer's on 4 bases. So he really needs to be able to do something significant. He's going for triple upgrades. He's got his hive, and it looks like he's switching into mass ling. All those extra hatcheries he's made, and the fact that he's getting triple upgrades. But he still needs to. I don't want to say he needs to play better. He needs to, pay attention. He needs to defend well and produce as many units as he can. Because he really cannot let Snow get up to 4 bases. I mean, it just doesn't work on equal bases. I mean, he's doing an excellent job sniping the Templar, and that's part of what he needs to do. But once again, he needs to do stuff, and so far he's barely defending. But alright, so we got a Nidus up at the 3rd base. It's probably going to connect to the natural. That's a really nice, it's really nice for the troop movement. It almost makes it function like you have more troops than you currently do, because you can guard multiple places at once. But Killer's got to do something. He cannot let Snow have 4 bases with only having 4 himself. Alright, so Snow is going to flank him from the south. Of course, that's a good idea because you don't want to go across the bridges. Wait, do those Hydras not have speed? Of course, they've got to have speed. We're super late in the game. He's got to have speed. Decent Storm, but he's only got 2 Templar. Looks like he forgot he has the Nidus. The other possibility... Alright, there we go. Now he's using the Nidus. You gotta be careful, though, because if you have Templar, they can storm the Nidus just like that. Oh. And Zerglings, they have such little health, So Storm does literally like 120 damage. Barely. Maybe 115, not 120. But since Zerglings only have 35 HP, you can literally kill 2 Zerglings in the same position with 1 Storm. Alright, so we did have enough units coming through the Nidus. Some came around from behind to flank. Consume is done. So this is the time where the Zerg has his tech. And if you've ever seen Star Wars Episode 1, and where Jar Jar Binks says "ouch time," well, this is ouch time for the Protoss. Because of course, under those Dark Swarms, Zerglings are not going to take any damage from cannons. They're not going to take any damage from goons. So this is the time where literally you send a Defiler and 12 Lings into a base, and if the Protoss doesn't have Templar and Storms and Zealots, the base falls in seconds. So luckily for him, there are some Zealots, but with the constant stream of Ling reinforcements, this base should go down. And at the same time, Killer is establishing... Actually, it looks like he's double expanding. He's taking 2 mineral-only bases. Alright, so right now, reinforcements are coming in for Snow. So Killer really needs to target that Nexus and make sure it goes down. Forget the probes, forget the army. Yes, alright, he's doing a good job. He's taking down the Nexus. Looks like he's going to get it. It looks like it was actually pretty darn close, but he does get it. Alright, so it looks like Snow is going to remake that base instantly, and he's also taking the 12 o'clock position. So he's trying to get up to 5 bases, and of those 5 bases, 4 of them are going to be gas bases. At the same time, Killer is going up to 6 bases, and 4 of them are going to be gas bases. So if that happens for both these players, I'd still say that's slightly more favorable for Snow, if they're on the same number of gas bases and Killer's only up 1 mineral base. But that being said, I mean, with the Dark Swarms and the Lings, defense is going to be a rather significant issue for Snow for the next few minutes. However, it does look like he's gotten some of his Reavers out. And we saw a Plague going off on some probes and a cannon. Oh, and the shuttle. Now, on the shuttle, that's good, because that means only 1 Scourge will be required to take out the shuttle. That's nice. But yeah, so Snow has moved into the more late-game Protoss units. So, of course, Protoss usually rushes the majority of their tech out in the early game, so they have those Templar, because they're just so super effective against the Zerg. But Reaver tech usually is a whole lot later, but we're seeing it now. So, of course, Reavers do full damage under Dark Swarm, because Scarab is a splash damage type attack. Oh no, we got 5 Lurkers But there's what? The probes are transferring into the lurkers. Oh, and we got a plague. But yeah, lurkers under Dark Swarm are excellent. Lurkers by themselves versus a late game Protoss army, not as great. And there's no overlords. Oh wait, apparently there is an overlord now because that DT just died. I don't see the overlord. I assume there was an overlord. Of course, other things you can do, you can plague the DTs, and while they have the goo on them, they show up. So the observer's pointing out that Snow's third base at the 3 o'clock position, it doesn't have probes. Because we saw there was an engagement and the lurkers burrowed before the probes transferred to it. So it's actually rather surprising. So, alright, so Snow lost the 12 o'clock position, and his 3 o'clock position lost all the probes to lurkers in that one engagement. So Snow is currently only mining off of his mineral only. The transfer just went down, the probe transfer, so we will be mining off of two mineral bases, and he'll still have, it looks like, 3 gas. But it looks like Killer finally did hit his stride with his late game Zerg units. And so that's another interesting thing to think about. So Zergling is literally the first combative unit that a Zerg player can get ever. Because you have to get, and we got a plague. Oh, another plague. I think he caught a Hydra with that. But yeah, so before you can get the Hydra Den, you have to get the spawning pool. Before you can get the layer for Spire, you have to get the spawning pool. So Zerglings are literally the first unit that a Zerg can get. But they're also one of the better late game units Zergs can get. Alright, there's the GG. But yeah, so real quick I'll finish this. So yeah, so Zerglings are so great, they scale great into the late game if you upgrade them well. Because once you get them to 3 armor, a Protoss cannot 2-hit them with Zealots anymore. And they just have such great DPS with the Adrenal Glands. But alright, that's enough. Going on to game number 3.